Deputy Chief Whip of the Senate, Onyekachi Onwaebonyi, has rejected former Senate President Bukola Saraki's suggestion that the current Senate President Akpabio should submit to an open investigation over sexual harassment allegations. Onwaebonyi, who represents Ebonyi North Senatorial District, argued that Saraki's comparison of his own case to Akpabio's was a misplaced priority and a flawed analogy. Onwaebonyi contended that while Saraki's call for transparency was noted, the circumstances surrounding the allegations against Akpabio were vastly different from those in Saraki's own past case, which he described as unrelated in context, substance, and motivation. Saraki had previously urged Akpabio to ensure a transparent investigation into the sexual harassment claims made by Senator Natasha and to appear before the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions for a fair resolution. He also recalled his own experience during his tenure when he faced allegations regarding custom duties and willingly appeared before the Ethics Committee to clear his name. Joining us now to further discuss the allegations of sexual harassment against Senate President Godswill Akpabio by Senator Natasha and the calls for an independent probe by ACF, Senator Saraki is Deputy Chief Whip of the Senate, Onyekachi Onwaebonyi. Senator, I want to say thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And it's pretty straightforward. Although you are saying that these are quite different apples and oranges, but the question is this, as they say, if there are allegations of this grave nature, don't you think that investigations should be opened and the Ethics Committee of the National Assembly, or to be very precise, the Nigerian Senate, should look into this matter, and rather than just probably tossing it aside and saying that these are apples and oranges, comparing the issue of Bukola Saraki as it then was when he was Senate President and the present Senate President, Godswill Akpabio?
Well, thank you so much for having me again. You remember last week I was here to clear the course as to what happened at the plenary between Senator Natasha and the Senate, not the Senate President. Because what transpired was a complete violation of our rules by Senator Natasha, and the Senate Chief Whip called her attention to that, and the Senate President, who is the Chief Law Officer of the Senate, how to enforce the rules of the Senate. So it's very important to keep the record straight. This matter started between Senator Natasha and the Nigerian Senate.
But it has blown beyond that already.
I'm coming. Now, a few days back, we had another version of this story where the same person abandoned the fact in issue to talk about another thing. However, before I go in there, let me react to the submission of the former Senate President. I would do respect to his office. He knows very well that the facts of the two cases are not the same. His case was a case of importation of official vehicle. This is a case of violation of the Senate rules, and the Committee on Ethics and Privileges have been set up in line with our rules to look into it. So there is no point relating the two because they are not the same, both in facts and figures. So that is that. Now, on the issue of sexual harassment as alleged by Senator Natasha, as God will have it, I am an eyewitness. And like I posted in the social media, I narrated what transpired. On that fateful day of 8 December 2023, I was among the senators that attended the birthday ceremony of the Senate President. Right from the Victor Atta Airport, I drove in the same vehicle with the said senator, with her husband. In fact, I was in the front seat while the senator and her husband was at the back seat. We attended series of programs of the Senate President within Uyo town. At the end of the day, we moved to Ekotekbene, the hometown of the Senate President. I remember very well, as we were coming down from the vehicle, she was complaining of her shoe paining her that made her and her husband to stay back while I rushed inside the building to join other senators to inspect the building of the Senate President. I must tell you for free, and that is the truth, Senator Natasha never joined us inspecting the buildings of the Senate President. She was seated at the parlour with her husband. The Senate President took us around, took us to the chapel, and called those who are Catholic senators to join him in a holy mass. We celebrated the holy mass, and at the end of the day, ended up in her garden, and he hosted us. There was never a time the Senate President touched Senator Natasha. There was never a time the Senate President told Natasha, oh, you like my house, I will come back here to have a good time. That never happened. And Senator Natasha knows that very well. So it is disheartening and unbelievable for a senator of the Federal Republic to act of mere provocation simply because you were given a new seat and probably a committee was changed to get up to lay a false allegation against a man that is old enough to be your father. Up till now, I'm still in shock because it's unbelievable.
All right, Mr. Onwaebonyi,
And let me cap it up. From the house of the Senate President, I still drove in the same vehicle with Senator Natasha and the husband. I was still in the front seat to 4 Points Hotel, where we all lodged. The following morning, I was with the husband. We had a walk together within the hotel. He never told me of anything that the husband, that the wife was harassed. Of course, it never happened. For crying out loud, it never happened. The Senate President never had a handshake with Natasha in his house, let alone toasting her. And think of it. How do you think a sane man will toast a married woman in the presence of over 20 senators, in the presence of her husband? Come on. This is unbelievable and should be condemned.
All right, Mr. Onwaebonyi, you've made it clear that you're an eyewitness.
I was there.
You've stated what you witnessed.
With over 20 senators. Senators time we was there. I can name them.
It's clear that the point is you said you're an eyewitness, and that's completely fine. And like Aaron mentioned, even though it was different context with Bukola Saraki, the fact that you witnessed this and you're saying that it didn't happen, then you should probably be at the forefront pushing for transparency to clear the name and the allegations, as opposed to...
Of course, this allegation is
issue?
not before the Senate. As far as I'm concerned, it's a hearsay. Senator Natasha never, since 2023, where the alleged harassment happened, she never reported this to the Senate.
But why are you against the call that's being made by Bukola Saraki, even if now you've confirmed that you witnessed it and there's nothing to hide?
Let me tell you something. We have rules in Senate. It's only when you present an issue at the plenary that Senate can set up a committee, not on a hearsay. Bukola Saraki that's a personal opinion. He was a Senate President. He knows the rules of the Senate. He knows who can't act on hearsay. It is a hearsay. Senator Natasha never presented any issue before us.
Okay, based on your eyewitness experience and your experience, or the place that you hold as the chief whip, yes, how would you advise that we see this matter through?
Let her read the rules.
Go ahead. Let's know how this should be handled.
I can't say she knows what to do. Let her read the rules.
No, enlighten
I'm
us.
not her lawyer.
But if we were to draw a parallel between what happened with Senator Bukola Saraki,
yes,
then when he was Senate President,
yes,
I do not think the issue about what they call it, the import duties concerning the vehicles, yes, the SUV vehicles,
yes,
that was a bone of contention.
Yes.
Was presented before.
It was presented before, and it was assigned to a committee. It was presented by a senator. It came by word of motion.
Okay, if you have said that.
No, let me. You have to know our rules. Okay. It came by word of motion. But if you want the Senate to act on any issue, probably your privilege has been infringed, or you have a report to make, you come by word of motion. All the senators will hear it. It will be put to vote. If you find merit in your complaint, that is only when it will be referred to the Ethics and Privileges Committee.
But Senator Onwaebonyi, now where I'm going to with this is,
yes,
already the Senate,
yes,
some are brandishing the Senate as very misogynistic.
It's not so.
So if that's not the case,
yes,
when allegations, yes, of sexual misconduct,
yes,
is being raised,
yes,
shouldn't it be taken with seriousness rather than shoving it aside, because she has said her side of the story. You were not there with them from the night into the morning.
I was there all through, and I left with her.
She could have returned back.
She couldn't return back. Listen to her facts. She didn't return back. The Senate president was there with his wife.
So she believes, I'm not saying whether it's true or not,
yes,
she believes that she has been wronged. And she was put in a very uncomfortable situation.
Yes.
Whether it's true or not, yes, why don't we leave that for the ethics committee to decide? As
that
against shooting it down. That
is only if and only if the matter is presented before us. Get it right.
So that's why I said the
first allegation, remember how she started? She came on air that the Senate president is suppressing the voice of female senators.
Yes.
I'm coming. That was her first allegation.
Yes.
And we said no. I came here and said no. We are not suppressing the voice of the female senators. All the 4 female senators in the 10 senates are all committee chairmen, not minding that they are first-timers. And by the practice, as a first-timer, you ought to have understudied the proceedings of how a committee meetings used to be before you can chair it. Because a committee chairman is like a Senate president. You preside over the committee. You oversight ministers and MDAs. So you need to have an experience. But because of the love the Senate president and the 10th Senate has for women, these 4 women are all committee chairmen. I can name them. Herself, Senator Kingibe, Senator Diat, and the former deputy governor of Rivers. They are all committee chairmen. How do you think you believe her that the Senate president is suppressing the female voices in the Senate?
Is it too wild to be imagined, or what are you saying that it can never happen?
It didn't happen.
Okay. Are you saying it can never happen?
But it can happen, but it didn't happen.
Okay, that's still
it never
that's
happened.
Still based on what you said you witnessed, and that's completely fine. But now, do you think
up till now there's a platform? She was talking, and I posted this eyewitness account. Senator Natasha did not controvert any of my statement therein.
She doesn't have to.
She has to.
No, not necessarily.
Let her come up and say that I was not there, or that I didn't drive in the same car with her.
Okay.
Let her come out and say it.
Do you believe...
She can't say it.
Do you believe that the Senate Ethics Committee lacks the impartiality needed to fairly investigate allegations against its own president? And if so, what does that say about the committee's overall credibility?
Every committee is independent. If there's someone the Senate president will appear. Senate is a very serious institution. A resolution of a committee, no man can thwart it. The Senate president cannot change it. That is the rule.
True.
The resolution of a committee, no human being can change it. It's only a court of law. No human being can change it. And if the committee deemed it fit to invite the Senate president, he must appear.
All right, Senator Onwaebonyi. Now, from the look of things, it seems the Senate is just sweeping this aside, or majority of the senators.
We're not sweeping it aside. Remember, get my point clear. Yeah. The issue is not before the Senate. And if she brings it before the Senate, it will be referred to the appropriate committee. And the Senate president will not preside over the matter.
But the language of the senators here.
No.
On the majority are already shooting her down before she even arrives.
Let her do the right thing. Let her do the right thing. The point we are trying to draw home here is that this is a complete falsehood. This is an attempt to discredit the Senate president. And this is not the first time. Just give me some time. This is not the first time this woman is doing this. This is a woman that have accused Ayabelo of sexual harassment. This is the same woman that have accused the... I'm coming. Allow me to flow.
Probably disprove
Allow me to flow.
Okay.
This is the same woman that accused Reno Mokri, the former media aide to Jonathan, of sexual harassment. This is a woman I saw in a video yesterday accusing a minister of sexual harassment. Are you the only woman in Nigeria, Senator Natasha? Right. What is wrong with you?
Ooh, your mic.
But Senator Onwaebonyi,
okay, 1 second.
This is madness.
Senator Onwaebonyi, just because
Nigerian women should rise against it. Let me tell you something.
Yes.
Senator Natasha is spoiling game for Nigerian women trying to enter politics, because nobody will vote for a woman. No, I'm telling you, if women can behave this way, then there is danger.
Well, that's a
If you give them more power.
generalization. That's a generalization.
And I have my points.
Senator Onwaebonyi, that's a
In this
generalization.
latent provocation, you accuse he want to
All right.
sexually harass me. Who are you?
All right.
A mother of 6.
She's a
A
woman.
mother of 6 from
And a
different men.
senator.
Without going to her character, this is a mother of 6 from
All
different
right.
men.
All right. There's a
I don't think
question.
that her character is not questionable.
That's,
All right, Mr.
Sexual
Onwaebonyi.
allegations don't have anything to do with the
Yeah.
His
with her marital
business.
status
His business.
or the number of
His
children she
business.
has.
I'm telling you, his
Can we
business.
ask you the next question?
I'm going to her character.
Can we
She
ask-
has to change.
But this is misogyny here.
Yeah, I'm telling you the truth.
Can we
blatant
ask you
here.
the next question?
Go ahead, I'm here for you.
Whew, okay. How
We
would
should condemn evil. That is the point.
All right.
I'm a Christian.
Are you ready for the next question?
Go ahead, my dear sister.
Okay. Now, how would you respond to critics who might view your defense of Akpabio as partisan loyalty rather than principled reasoning about proper investigative procedures?
Let me tell you something. I'm a principal officer of the 10th Senate. So I owe the Senate the duty to set the records right, not being loyal to one man. The Senate president is my president, yes, but outside that, I have that responsibility to tell Nigerians all I know as to what is transpiring in the Senate. And that is what I'm doing, so that the public will not be misled. Because in most cases, if you don't inform people as to the right facts and figures surrounding an issue, they will be de-informed. So what I'm doing? I'm not a boy to the Senate president. I'm elected like him. But if you want to rubbish him because you feel you can do that, people like I'm a human rights activist. I can rise up and say no, because you can't do it to me, and they can't do it to you. If anybody tries to do it to you, I will also speak the same. What is condemnable should be condemned by all. This woman should know her limits. She should stop dealing with prominent Nigerians. If they do it in her mother's country, we don't do it here.
Senator Onwaebonyi, you are using probably analogical deduction and probably trying to bring in reason to understand her actions.
Yes.
And that shouldn't be the case. It should rest on facts.
I'm speaking based on facts. I told you
now,
here.
Senator Onwaebonyi, because it is wrong for you to say that because she has children with multiple men, that she doesn't have the locus and she doesn't have the moral standing
I didn't say so.
to accuse, to
I didn't
feel
say so.
harassed.
I didn't say so.
No, that's what you said here on
I
TV.
didn't say so.
You did say
listen,
that.
she
You
is
did
a
say that.
habitual accuser. She is a
Just
habitual
now, the
accuser
point
of
is
men.
also-
of sexual harassment.
Also, that is still not enough reason
Yes.
for you to say, to dismiss a claim because she has accused 1, 2,
Yes.
3 people in
Yes.
time past. That's not enough reason to dismiss the claim. And that is why people are accusing the Nigerian Senate, the 10th.
You go by precedence.
In
reasoning, you go by precedence.
It doesn't work.
You go by precedent.
Law.
Yes.
In law,
You
when
go by
cases of
precedent.
sexual harassment come up,
Well, let me tell you
they
something.
do not use judicial precedents or stare decisis to decide
No, we
whether
use
or
it.
not
We
she
use
has the
it.
locus
We
to
use it.
sue.
We use it
Because
you are
this is
putting your
misogyny
character-
speaking here.
Because you are putting your character in question. If you are known for accusing people, today I will say my sister is a thief.
No, but if you are to
Tomorrow
prove,
I will
no,
say
if
you
you
are
are
a
to
thief.
prove sexual harassment,
Yes.
character of the person
It comes to it's an issue.
is not the first thing.
It is
It's
an
not the first
issue.
thing.
It is an issue.
At some point,
that
yes,
is the law.
but not the first thing in the
Okay.
That is
checklist.
the law.
It's not the
Your
first
character
thing.
comes in issue.
It is
becomes
the
an issue.
evidence of what we have on
She has no
ground,
evidence.
All right, Mr. Onwaebonyi.
not the character.
She has no evidence.
All right, Mr. Onwaebonyi.
You're not sure of that.
She has no. I'm sure of that.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm ready to come to court and testify. I'm an eyewitness.
You're an eyewitness.
She stated her case, where it happened, when it happened, and I was there.
Well, like you said, you're also not her lawyer, so you don't know all the facts that she has and what she
She
can
has
submit as
presented her
evidence.
facts.
All right.
She can't change the facts.
Okay, so
Even though she changes like chameleon. The other day she was talking of suppressing female voices.
Onwaebonyi.
The other day she was talking of allocating another seat to her. Today is sexual harassment. Who knows what she will allege tomorrow?
Let's wait and see.
We are waiting.
Okay.
But
So,
Nigeria is too big for her.
all right.
The 10th Senate is too big for her.
Okay.
She can't toil us.
So
But if you
let's
have-
expand
She
this.
cannot.
Because if you have this kind of
let's
approach,
ex-
how will she come freely to present her case?
What approach?
Mi-
Was
sir-
she not here? Did I interrupt her?
All right, Mr. Onwaebonyi.
I'm
Let's
here to speak on my own point of view.
let's
And you can't stop me.
Mr. Onwaebonyi, can we expand this beyond Senator Natasha?
Go ahead, my dear sister.
With the way you've addressed this today,
Yes.
what message do you think your stance is sending to women in Nigeria who may face
let
me finish. Who may face similar workplace harassment issues?
There's no harassment
and are considering
No, I take
coming
exception
forward.
to that. I take exception to that. No female politician in Nigeria have established
No,
a
you
case
didn't.
of...
You didn't listen to my question, or you
I
didn't
listened
hear
to your
it.
question
Okay,
very
okay.
well. I listened to your question.
No, I said, what message do you think your stance
Yes.
sends to women in Nigeria who may face similar workplace harassment issues and are considering coming
Who
forward?
has faced workplace harassment issue? I'm asking you, who has faced one?
I'm talking about women.
Yeah, tell me one woman that has faced such
Well,
harassment.
since you post, you might want to put that on social
No,
media
tell
and get
me
your
one before I answer
poll.
you. If not, I won't answer you. Tell
That's
me one.
fine. You don't have to answer that.
Tell me one, because your question is business.
If I were to follow
right.
our question up,
Yes.
before the Me Too movement, there was a stifling of voices for women in the entertainment space in the US. But as soon as one issue came up, we began to see multiple issues come up. People coming out to speak against the likes of Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein. These were power players who would have probably come out and be as bold and be brazen like you, saying that they have never harassed women. But when these women came up, they are answering for their crimes as we speak. So you cannot throw a blanket statement and say that no woman in the Nigerian Senate has ever been harassed. Can you boldly say that?
Give me one.
We don't know.
They leave it until it
But at the same time, you cannot say it has never happened
Give
before.
me one.
Just because it hasn't been brought to the fore doesn't mean it has never happened
Give
before.
me one.
Don't worry. Maybe
by
who knows? This conversation might be
me
the beginning
one.
point
Give me one.
of something to happen.
Give me one.
At least we have Senator Natasha on record.
She has not proved it until she proves them.
At least we have one on record.
It's an allegation. Unfounded one at that.
Yes, we know it's an allegation.
Baseless one at that. Out of malice, afterthought. Can't you see it? Can't you see it?
Okay.
All right. Now, if the situations were reversed and opposition senators were shielding one of their own from investigation, what would your
We're not shielding
your
anybody.
position
I
be?
said it here that if a case is mailed out against the Senate President, that he must appear before the committee. He's not above the committee. But as of today, none has been made against the Senate President.
But the way you sounding, do you think she will be feeling safe to come to
Why
the floor
not?
of
The Senate is for everybody.
Yes.
She has been there.
Yes.
She'll be there tomorrow. I'm sure she's in the office now. What are you talking about? Who is against her?
Quite a lot of people have been very voiceful for us in the way they've
because
attacked
they are
her.
condemning her because of her actions. But that does not mean that she can't access the Senate. No. She has her freedom. She's a Nigerian.
Yes, she is
elected
a Nigerian.
senator. But what we are saying is that her attitude is unbecoming of a senator of the Federal Republic. That is the point. Take it home.
Okay.
All right, well, we're going to go home now. Thank you so much, Deputy Chief Whip Onyekachi Onwaebonyi, for your take on this very important issue.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time. Thank you.